A former Galaxy official gets his passive-aggressive revenge on fired team president Chris Klein. A Lakers legend says LeBron James doesn't deserve a statue yet, and analytics nerds agree. The Rams have the second worst roster in the NFL. Good morning. I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the faithful Angelenos Morning Report. So it is July 18th, 2023. I am overjoyed to be back with you guys because we added multiple new subscribers to the Angeleno Familia yesterday. Thank you. Thank you for helping us build something for LA here. And if you like being in the know about LA sports, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that. It'll let you know when we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And comment. There's always good stuff to talk about in LA. Now, before we go through the news and notes, a look at the scoreboard. Chris Taylor hits a grand slam on an 0-2 pitch with 2 outs in the 6th inning. The Dodgers rally to defeat Baltimore 6-4. Your first place Dodgers snapped the Orioles' 8-game winning streak. Meanwhile, today, the Dodgers are still out in Baltimore. Camden Yards, by the way. Lovely stadium. The game's at 4. Michael Grove is 1-2 with a 6.89 ERA. Tyler Wells, 7-4 with a 3.18 ERA. We got to get to the news. Former Galaxy general manager Dennis Kloese. He was arguably the fall guy for the darkest moment in franchise history. I say that knowing full well that everybody kept asking, when is rock bottom during the Chris Klein era of incompetency and stupidity? There was no light. You could measure the Chris Klein leadership under varying shades of darkness. There was no hope. There was no optimism. There was a golden spoon year, for example. That was this almost hauntingly lovely tint of midnight blue. It was bad. What about not making the MLS playoffs with Zlatan Ibrahimovic? That was its own shade of darkness. It kind of radiated onyx, maybe even Charleston green, but nothing quite compared with the Christian Pavon cheating scandal. Because by the Galaxy breaking the rules to land Pavon, what the Chris Klein front office was essentially saying to us all was, we're not only too stupid to put together a winning team, we're too stupid to even properly cheat as we fail to put together a winning team. That's unique. That was rock bottom. That, my friends, was the darkest. That, and I looked it up, is pure Vanta Black. Vanta Black is a color so dark it actually absorbs 99.965 of visible light. It's like a vortex sucking the hope, not only out of your team, but infecting everyone you know, everyone around you. It was like a swirling, just sliding into the abyss, never to be seen again. That's how dark the Pavone scandal was to me. Now, the effects of getting caught cheating back in 2019 when they landed Pavone, it resonates with the team even today. Multiple players are injured for this current Galaxy roster, but the franchise can't even replace them. Why? Because MLS banned the Galaxy from acquiring players outside of North America during the current transfer window. So, yeah, it resonated. It absolutely did. Now, back then, Klein, and this is possibly, it's never been factually proven, but possibly in a desperate effort to salvage his job, let Kloese quit? Or did he subtly kind of push Kloese out by stripping him of responsibility? Kind of like that whole bag of Coke in the White House, right? Oh, we'll never know the answer to that now. Klein never said that the scandal was specifically Klose's fault, but you couldn't help feel like there was the implication there that by letting Kloese go, Klein had his scapegoat. So, now that Klein has been fired, been out for a couple of months, Kloese lands on his feet with a Dutch club, Feyenoord, which, by the way, I thought was the name of a bookcase over in IKEA when I first heard the name. And so Feyenoord wins this title with a team that Kloese constructed. So he had to weigh in on his former club when he was interviewed by The Athletic. Kloese illustrated a Galaxy front office that was overburdened by confused, overlapping, incompetent leadership. Quote, "It hurts to see where they're at," Kloese said. Gloated? Nah. Here's what the Galaxy front office looked like, according to Kloese. You had Klein as president. You had a former player, Jovan Kirovski, as technical director. He still is there, by the way, Kirovski. Kloese was the general manager. And then when the Galaxy went out and hired Greg Vanney to manage the team gave the new guy a voice in player acquisitions. In a well-adjusted world, say the Dodgers or the Rams or whatever, finding players is specifically the job of the general manager and nobody else. Period. On the other hand, the Galaxy had 3 people actively undermining Kloese at every turn, to hear Kloese tell it. Quote, "At some point I had the feeling that my influence and impact wasn't there, or wasn't where I thought it should be. I had long talks with ownership and Chris Klein. It was always friendly. I'm honestly appreciative of being able to work there, but I needed to have a definite impact." Okay, let's be real. I don't think he means that at all. I don't think he means that it was always friendly, and I don't think he means that he's appreciative of having to work there. I think this is Kloese basically slowly inserting that knife right in between Klein's ribs and kind of jerking it right up into the lung. There's no way he enjoyed having his job being dictated to him by multiple people. You don't. Nobody likes to be micromanaged. When you find out the guy who's been making your life a living hell has been fired, that's a pretty happy day. So no, I'm very skeptical of that quote. There are multiple ways you could read that quote, by the way. We don't know how culpable Kloese is in the Pavone infraction. It's possible that he's burying Klein in this passive-aggressive manner. It's also possible that the Galaxy froze Kloese out because of legit involvement in the Pavone infraction. We don't know. We don't. So is Kloese saying, well, you didn't fire me, but I know you were trying to push me out, so up yours? That's distinct. That is possible. You could look at it the way I do. It's Schadenfreude. For those of you who don't know a lot of German, Schadenfreude means taking immense pleasure out of somebody else's pain. So if you're one of those people that's happy that Chris Klein got fired a couple of months ago, the quotes from Dennis Kloese, some more I'm about to read you, those quotes are kind of like watching your high school crush in a porno, and not the soft kind of porno either. So I'm going to keep my right hand visible while I continue to read these Kloese quotes. Quote, "I think certain authorities lay with the general manager. In the last season I worked there, it wasn't that clear. You end up with a lot of gray areas. Who's responsible for who? Who brings in what players? What kind of playing style? It wasn't clear enough." These things are all supposed to be in a row. When they're not in a row, by the way, you have dysfunction. So Kloese in that sense is right. Quote, "They went another way, and I thought there wasn't any place for me. I wasn't used to working like that, not having any true impact on decision-making or sporting decisions. I think I've shown I'm more capable of handling." Unquote. Now, in the end, Kloese said the Galaxy chose a different model than how a team should be run, and that, quote, "everybody can judge by themselves how that went," unquote. Dennis Kloese. This is Dennis Kloese. This is Chris Klein. That's how I read those quotes. Lakers legend James Worthy told TMZ that LeBron James hasn't earned a statue in front of Crypto.com Arena yet. And by the way, this is correct. He's absolutely correct. It is true that LeBron James might be the greatest player of all time. There is an argument to be made. He reached the record for the NBA's all-time greatest scorer in Lakers gear, for example. But he has only one title in purple and gold. You have to have more if you're a Laker. You have to. The Lakers are about titles. And besides that, there's a reason that he doesn't have a statue or isn't getting one, at least not yet. And nobody has the guts to say it. There are too many effing statues out in front of Crypto.com arena as it is. I'm sorry, there's way too many. There are players for the Lakers, players for the Kings, boxers, announcers. Announcers? Okay, even announcers have statues. People say that there are late crowds that arrive to LA sporting events and they claim it's because LA fans don't care. That's not true. The reason people are late getting to Lakers and Kings games is because you have to navigate around a battalion of statues just to access the front door. Crypto.com arena looks like a child's sport surrounded by toy soldiers and G.I. Joe with a kung fu grip. They are probably going to wind up filling the street in front of Crypto.com arena and the Nokia arena with statues of other players as time goes on. There are way too many statues. Way too many. You really have to start impressing me now to sit there and say that guy deserves a statue in front of Crypto.com arena. And besides, what everybody knows LeBron James deserves isn't a statue in front of Crypto.com arena. What he really deserves is a 30-story tall bust of his head just smacked right on top of the roof of Quicken Loans Arena over in Cleveland. Seriously, 30 foot tall, so that when you fly into Cleveland, the first thing you see is LeBron James's balding head. Pro Football Focus, or PFF, says the Rams have the second worst roster in the NFL, that the only one that sucks more is out in Arizona. This is what they write, quote, they got their trophy, but the cupboard looks pretty bare. Healthy versions of Stafford, Kupp, and Donald give them a chance to win games. That's about it. They won 5 last year and let go of Bobby Wagner and Jalen Ramsey. It's hard to see how a team so thin gets to 7 wins, unquote. To which I say, you had me at, they got their trophy. I admit it. I was all about getting the trophy. Look, the pontificating Poindexters went on to say that offensive line is their biggest weakness, but the rookie to watch is guard Steve Avila, and that the biggest strength is supposedly run defense. We'll see when the Rams play the Niners this year. The Athletic, by the way, which is now the de facto sports department for the New York Times, also runs podcasts. One of theirs is called The Playmakers, which is dedicated to football coaches. They released an episode on the season that Chargers coach Brandon Staley was the defensive coordinator with the Rams under Sean McVay. They both remembered the year for its intensity. 2 young, energetic minds matching wits every day in practice. Quote, I was just trying to survive Sean McVay in practice, man. I was just trying to make sure that we're not giving up layups and dunks, getting laughed off the field. And I think that's what brought it. I think that's the purest thing, is when you've got to show up to practice every day ready to compete, unquote. That's from Brandon Staley. MLB Network reporter John Heyman said a source with the Dodgers told him that Artie Moreno will not permit the Angels to trade Shohei Ohtani to the Dodgers. Heyman did say that if Ohtani gets traded, the odds are still good that the slugger, who hit his 35th home run of the season last night, would still sign with LA as a free agent. Also with the Dodgers, Jason Hayward left Sunday's game with a sore neck. He's considered day-to-day. Newly demoted Miguel Vargas has reached base in his first 5 plate appearances at Oklahoma City. But he's not the only Dodger who was struggling in his rookie year. James Outman has been a damn near automatic out for the team since April. That's when pitchers discovered he couldn't catch up to high fastballs. So why did Outman stay and Miguel Vargas leave? Dave Roberts told the LA Times that it's because Outman is an older player and he has, quote, that maturity to handle some failure, to kind of fight your way back out of it. With some age, it gives you a better chance. That's just life, unquote. Vargas, Roberts said, on the other hand, he has never experienced failure until he got to the majors. ESPN played a little game to name the first 2023 draft pick that will make the major leagues for each team. For the Dodgers, the scribe who wrote it thinks it's going to be second-round pick Jake Geloff of Virginia. They think he has the same type of profile as a Michael Bush or a Dalton Rushing. Do you remember Isaiah Mobley of USC? We spent so much time talking about former UCLA players in Summer League, and can you blame us? There were 8 Bruins in the NBA Summer League after all. But Mobley is a second-year player out of USC, loitering around in Cleveland Cavaliers gear. He scored 28 points to lead the Cleveland Scrubs over the Houston Also-Rans in the Summer League title game. He was named MVP of that game. Valedictorian at summer school, the way it looks. Meanwhile, Miami general manager Andy Ellisberg is well pleased with the progress of former Bruins player Jaime Jaquez Jr., the 18th overall pick in this year's NBA draft. Quote, "I think he's our type of guy. I think he comes from the same kind of ethos that we think we value, with players that we value. He has that kind of competitiveness and the work ethic that you want to see." But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. Talk to me about Dennis Kloese burying Chris Klein on Klein's way to the unemployment line. Tell me what you think about the Rams roster, or if LeBron actually does deserve a statue at Crypto.com Arena. And if you enjoyed the content, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We're talking LA sports every single day here. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Kian Corte El Queso production. Take care.